Hey everyone! So this wasn't the video that I was planning on making, but then I needed a new purse, and then all they had was this plain ass basic black purse, which it's okay, but it's just too plain. So I decided I'm going to fix it, and I'm just going to paint it and decorate it to make it less boring. So here I'm cutting out a sort of a stencil thing, because I suck at like centering and placement and freehanding stuff. And because of the material, I didn't want to have to draw it and erase it all like a million times to get the proper placement, because it might end up messing up the material. So I figured I would just start by tracing a basic template and then going from there, because that would make things a lot easier. I'm drawing with a regular pencil right now. At some point I realized that I'm an idiot and I switched to using a white color pencil because it shows up a lot better and it was a lot easier. So yeah, I couldn't decide which designs I wanted to do, and I just ended up going with this stuff. We sort of just ended up going full goth. That wasn't like the original plan, it just sort of happened. Sometimes it just happens. So for the front, I just decided to go with some moths and moons and stuff. I have an obsession with putting moths on everything, basically. On this side, I'm doing a skeleton hand with a rose. Again, I use sort of a template to get it kind of centered, and then I'm just filling in the details after that. I'm really just trying to get the basic layout down. I can always fix it when I paint over it later, but I kind of just want to know where everything's going to go. It's going to make it a lot easier later on. Now I'm cutting out some stencils. So I cut up a kitchen sponge and I just dabbed it lightly in the paint, and I'm using the stencils to kind of give the moon shape some texture instead of just like painting it on. It's a lot easier if you can just dab it like this. And then I'm using the brush to touch up the edges and stuff where it's not perfect, and to add a little bit more color to like certain spots, because it's kind of hard to get detail with a kitchen sponge. Now I'm painting in the moths, except I realized as I was painting them that the way I drew them on, there wasn't really enough room for all the detail that's in there, so I kind of only loosely followed some of the outlines, and I kind of just made up some of it as I went along, changing it while I was painting, because I wanted to try and get like some details in there that wouldn't really fit otherwise. So I still have the basic outline in and the still basic position of them. So I meant to say I'm just using white acrylic paint for basically this whole part. I use like a couple colors later on, but as far as I could tell, the bag is made of leather, but it doesn't really matter. Like, it's fine if you just use acrylic. You should probably seal it afterwards, which I do later, to make sure it doesn't scratch off or rub off. In case anyone was wondering, I got this bag at Ross. It was originally supposed to be like 90 bucks or some ridiculous amount, but it was only like 16. I usually go there to try and find like cute weird bags, which they tend to have a lot of, but this time they didn't, which is how I ended up with this and just decided to change it myself. Now I'm just working on painting the other moth, and I'm kind of trying to get them like similar, but I'm not too worried about them being exactly the same. Like, it's fine if as long as they're close enough, especially from a distance, like it'll still look fine. Now, I'm not sure exactly what the point of this whole like tutorial, I guess it is, thing is for. I'm not sure anyone is going to necessarily want to do this exact thing on a bag, but you know, I was completely tired of the whole music situation on here, and trying to find tracks to use that wouldn't just get copyrighted, and it was honestly just kind of a nightmare. So now we're just going to be doing voiceovers, I guess, and I figured I might as well kind of explain the process of what I'm doing. Obviously, you could just do anything you want. If you want to paint your own bag, it's going to be the same basic principles. You just, can pick any designs you want and just do however what your style is. Alright, so I'm moving on to painting the skull side of the bag. Traditionally, I love skulls, like the look of them and the style and all that, but I hate painting and drawing them. I'm just like not great at it. Like I've gotten better with practice. I guess you just need to practice with it with like anything. So it's a little better, but sometimes they're still a little bit wonky. But that's fine. It's okay. This is kind of a little abstracty style anyway. I find that it helps, like, if you're doing something that you're not as comfortable with, that if you just pick a style that's a little more like this one where it's a looser style, like there's more of a sketchy vibe to it instead of like a lot of clean lines and perfect placement. It'll help hide some of your mistakes or, happy accidents, and it'll be a lot easier to still get the basic design down without worrying too much about like, is everything exactly how it should be. As long as you're able to get the basic layout down of like the placement of the features, then it should look relatively correct to anyone looking at it. And now we interrupt this program to bring you a brief intermission. See, I kind of had to stop what I was working on for a few days because we sort of unexpectedly got a new dog. So there's my old dog, and that's the new dog. She needed a home, so we took her in, and I had to spend a few days spending basically all my time with them, making sure that they're getting acclimated and that everything is going well. And so, obviously it's totally worth it. Doggies come first. But look at that. We had to share this cuteness real quick. Anyway, now back to our regularly scheduled programming. I'm working on the other side now with the skeleton hand holding a rose. I want to eventually do some shading and detailing, but for now, I'm just sort of filling it in with white to have the layout down of where all the bones and stuff are supposed to go. So while I'm doing that, let's talk about my next video. See, I had planned to do a video where I alter some clothes that I have. They're kind of ugly and ill-fitting, and I just wanted to do some revamp, alteration type things. Except I was planning on using my sewing machine, and I kind of suspect that it's going to scare the crap out of the new dog. So I might have to alter my plans for now, and we might be doing another painting video after this one, I think, and just putting off my other plans for a little while. Right now I'm just adding the shading and a little bit of coloring to the bones because we didn't want to just do plain white on white. It really needs a little bit of definition here. So I'm mostly using like browns and yellowish and grays to add some color to the bones because I guess that's kind of technically what bone colors are. And I'm just gonna go add some shadows and then go back and add some highlights in. And then move on to the rose part shortly. So yeah, I decided to do the rose in color. And someone was like, why is that part in color when all the rest is just like black and white? I don't know, because like, yeah, roses are colored. I mean, yeah, technically I could have just done it in like white, but I like some color, so you know, it's fine. I originally intended to do this rose in sort of a more like traditional tattoo style, but that's not really what ended up happening. I use kind of like a one-stroke painting technique, and if you're not familiar with that, there's all sorts of videos on how to do that. But you basically load up, like, take a flat brush and load up half the brush with one color and half with another color, and then do sort of a wiggly kind of motion. It's used a lot to paint like flowers easier, instead of going back and forth and adding the darker colors and the lighter colors. You can kind of do it all at once. It's a technique that I am not very good at, so I keep going back and like touching it up. Ideally, you could just like do it all with one stroke for each petal and it'll look all fancy and nice, but that's not the level I'm at here. So, you know, still it came out all right in the end. It's fine. The most important part when you're painting roses and flowers is to just like make sure you leave the dark spaces in between the petals so you have the shadows, and then go and add highlights to the edges of some of the petals to really give like the contrast that you need to make it look more realistic. Now I'm just adding some details to the leaf parts. You want to add like a few veins or something going on to try and make them look a little bit realistic too. Now I'm moving on to this little pouch thing that came with the bag. It has like a little special pocket for it and it's attached to the bag. So I'm back to using the kitchen sponge and just using some blues and pinks and a little bit of white to just dab some colors on to make like a galaxy pattern, blend it together. And then I'm going to go in and make some stars over it by adding water and white paint to a stiff paintbrush and just flicking it at the bag and also all over the desk and my phone and my computer, but that's fine. And I'm doing the same thing to the other side. I'm just doing like slightly different colors. I don't want it to be exactly the same on both sides. If you get like a little too much color, you could just go back and blend it out with a dry edge of the sponge. Or you can always just add a little bit of a lighter color over to make a few areas pop. But you basically just want to use colors that go together, like blues and purples and pinks, to get this kind of effect going on. And then I will do the same thing with the stars, just flicking the white paint. I'm also dabbing a little bit of them back off with the dry sponge in case there's like too many stars or it gets too wet and then you get like blobs. And now I'm just doing this design, a little coffin thing, and it says "Over the Stars," which is a Johnny the Homicidal Maniac reference, which I don't know how many people will get that or are familiar. Then I decided to just add a few silver studs to the front of the bag, so I kind of mark where I'm going to put them and then just shove them into the bag where they're going to go because they have those pointy ends on them. That was me trying to show you Mod Podge that I was using to seal all of the acrylic work that I did. I looked it up, and apparently like you can use it on leather, like it's not going to ruin the leather or anything. There are better and specialized products that you can use for leather to seal it, but I don't have those, so we're just gonna go with this Mod Podge. I used a matte one. I don't want like a shiny finish. I tried to just like not make a mess and keep it, you know, on the actual designs. I also didn't show it on camera, but I did take a pliers to try to fix the studs that I put on the purse better to flatten down the prongs to make them stay. So now we're on to this part. So this was my old purse, and I was just wanting to show the contents and the entire mess that was in my bag. My purse weighs like 20 something pounds. It's ridiculous. It is giant and unnecessary. That was a push pop. That was candy. I know some of you probably don't really care what was in my bag, but so I put a timestamp. You can just skip all this. Yeah, I found kibble in my purse. I don't know why. I don't know who is responsible for that. This is just what happens when you don't clean out your bag, I guess. But anyway, I'm always interested in kind of like the what's in my bag videos. Like, they're remotely interesting, so I just wanted to show this mess. It's a bunch of unnecessary things that, like, realistically I'm not going to use. Like, I don't know why I have to carry them around with me, like, in case, like, one day is just the apocalypse, so I might be prepared. But, like, this isn't even useful, really. Don't mind that. That's just, like, my safety weapons. Just have, like, mace and stuff with me. That actually might be useful in an apocalypse situation, I guess. But anyway, I really need to downsize. Like, none of this is going to fit in my new bag. And this is how I managed to organize my bag. So that's my nifty little pocket thing that came with my bag, which I'm using as a wallet. I have like my phone and cigarettes, necessities. Don't come at me for that. And then I just have like notebook, another little wallet. I probably don't need multiple wallets, but it's fine. Still need safety weapons. Just other few things. You know, I've still managed to greatly downsize. That's just my like medicine and stuff like that you might need, toiletries kind of things. It's a lot less crap. And now I'm just showing like the final product. So I want to show the side that I painted. The back I just left alone. I figured the paint's just gonna rub off anyway from rubbing on my hip and stuff. So that's the other side that I painted. And then I have some like just before and after side by side like pictures to show everything that I did. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. I shall have another video hopefully soon. Some sort of painting video maybe. I don't know. If purses aren't your thing, then it's fine. We'll just there'll be something else coming up relatively soon. So yeah, check out that when it comes out. But thanks for watching, and subscribe. Bye-bye.